Welcome back. All right, so interesting story here. So hockey started at 9 o'clock this morning, and it ended now at 9:24. And I didn't have a time of no hockey during the last 12 and a half hours. Now that's great. What it means is other videos I wanted to do today, I couldn't get them in. I didn't have a time because of how these games were staggered out. So it was not a stressful night in terms of keeping up with everything, but stressful day into the night in that I was like, I wanted to do, that'll have to wait. I wanted to do, that'll have to wait. So the Tom Wilson video people are waiting for, that gets delayed into tomorrow, and it's changed based on other things that are going on. The original video idea is now changed, and so we're going to get into more of the player safety side of it than just the Tom Wilson suspension. Because I think there's a bigger story to this, and it's something we've discussed on this channel before. It feels like we have this annual discussion, and it's time. All right, so Florida and Carolina. This was a matchup between two teams that are fighting to stay in the race for first, and it feels like when these two teams meet each other that Carolina's the better team. At the end of the day, the Carolina Hurricanes are the better team. So the Panthers, early shot for them. And then Jordan Staal took a puck to the face. He got stitches. He did come back into the game. No face shield or anything, so that's a hockey player for you. Stitch my face, send me back out there. Do you want to protect your face from the next puck? No, I'm good. I'm good, thanks. I'm a Staal brother. So the Canes get a power play. That was killed off. Paquette and Gudas were not friendly with one another. I didn't see them fight with each other, but they weren't getting along. Shots were one apiece at 9 minutes. Pretty quiet game early, as this was quite the chess match, and it would not stay that way, but the first period was very much like that. Really solid defense, both of them playing well along the boards, blocking out anything from the middle, not allowing a lot of prime shots. The Canes would get a couple of shots, but the Panthers would get a power play shortly after that. That power play, not successful. No shots for them. The Canes then get a power play right after. That one is successful. And Vinny Trocheck, who has made a career so far in Carolina this year of playing well against Florida, he scores from Svechnikov and Hamilton at 15:55. Then Mason Marchment goes right back to the box. And I'm sure somewhere his dad's going, this feels really familiar. Marchment in the box again. He's not like that. But anyways, 47.4 left. Trocheck goes to the box, and it's 4-on-4 for 39 seconds. Reimer would stop a pretty good chance for Forsling. I don't know what's going on with Gustav Forsling in Florida, but he seems to be getting a lot of chances at the offensive end. And when I see a defenseman getting a lot of chances at the offensive end, my brain starts thinking, so who's covering for him back there while he's charging the net? So we go to the second period. Drieger denied Staal. Good chance for Staal. And then at 4:52, it's Niederreiter. Scores from Nachas and Aho. That makes it a 2-0 score. And it was a high glove shot on a nice fast break by Niederreiter. So the Panthers would get a power play. Reimer made a nice shoulder save on Marchment. Lomberg then had a chance that was denied. McGinn, I should say, had a chance that goes high. Huberdeau had a chance as well that was stopped. Huberdeau would have a pretty good game today. But Mackenzie Weegar gets a goal from Achari at 10:41. So Achari didn't get a hat trick today. Those looking for back-to-back hat tricks, disappointing. However, he did get an assist. So Noel Achari now getting points, and that's the key thing. Nice to see him getting some points. The Canes then tried to answer right away. In fact, there was a heavy press by Carolina with 6.5 minutes left. The Canes get a power play. Staal with a near miss over the net. Pesci had a shot that hits the post. And then with 40.9 seconds left in the second period, Svechnikov takes a penalty. And then with 5 seconds left, Reimer robs Huberdeau. So we go to the third period. Aho scores in the first minute from Martinook and Slavin. 38 seconds. And that makes it a 3-1 game. And it just felt like it all kind of turned there. That you get the feeling that Florida's probably not coming back and winning this one. Panthers had a 2-on-1 that misfires. Puck goes the other way. Warren Foegele scores from McGinn. Yep, at 3:41, that makes it a 4-1 game. Trocheck then missed a chance to make it 5-1, so could have been worse. In fact, Martinook would hit the post shortly after that, and the Canes had completely taken over the game. But Marchment, who was robbed in the second period, he gets his revenge in the third. He scores from Huberdeau and Barkov at 9:09. So That makes it 4-2. Then with 9:56 left, the Canes get a power play. That was killed off. Reimer denies Forsling again, so Gustav Forsling getting a bunch of chances. And it's odd that Forsling's getting so many chances right now. Drieger had trouble getting out of the net, so they wanted to pull him way sooner than they did. With 2:30 left, the goaltender does finally get pulled. With 2:24 left, Stahl takes a penalty, so that makes it 6-on-4. And then, while they're playing down 2 men, Slavin loses his stick, becomes a 6-on-3.5. That's what I call it when a guy doesn't have a stick. It's a half a player out there. With 26.8 seconds left, the Panthers call a timeout. And then things got really interesting with 5.1 seconds left. There's a scrum. Everybody's in it. Everybody's mad. It's just this. There's Donnie Brooks ready to break out. Reimer skates to center ice. And I'm sure there were fans thinking, is it going to happen? Are we going to see Reimer go at it with Drieger? It didn't happen. But Reimer went to center ice just in case. Just in case. And then he slowly skates backwards to his net. I thought it was a fun ending to the game. Not necessarily that fun if you're a Florida fan, but Carolina wins at 4-2. They go to 17-6-1. Florida drops to 15-5-4. The shots were only 5-4 in the first in favor of Florida. 10-9 in the second in favor of Carolina, 12-9 Carolina in the third. Final shots 23-26 or 26-23 in favor of the Hurricanes. Both teams had 5 power plays. Florida 0 for 5, Carolina 1 for 5. Drieger 22 saves on 26 shots. Reimer 21 saves on 23 shots. So very good game, very entertaining. Can't wait to see how the rest of the series between these two is going to go. New Jersey. You know, most teams in the league are glad not to have to face Boston this year. New Jersey wishes they played Boston more. I will say that through the games they've played against Boston, I think it's the best New Jersey's looked is when they play Boston. And I don't know that I understand it. Sometimes some teams get up really well for certain teams. And in this case, Wedgwood with another really good game, making an argument that, you know, if Mackenzie Blackwood's struggling, you can go to Wedgwood for more games. It's not really a big deal. Carlo, of course, out. And we'll talk about that. I've got a news video I want to do before I turn in for the night. So that'll be after the review. Shots were 3-1 for the Bruins at 3.5 minutes. And the Bruins came out well. They did. They were playing pretty well. Hughes ripped one wide at around the 5-minute mark. The Bruins controlling the puck. Rask took a shot to the collarbone area. Collarbone or top of the shoulder. Devils get a power play. That's killed off. Vakanainen, when he comes out of the box at the end of that power play, he gets a chance at the other end. So, honestly, pretty good first period for the Bruins. Wedgwood stopped a good chance from McAvoy. Pasternak then had a chance that was saved. And the Devils get another power play right around the end of the first period. But we go to the second, tied at 0. Early chances for the Devils. The Bergeron line was in control at 4 minutes. Clearly, it didn't work out for them, but they had a decent game as well. Rask then denies Zacha. McAvoy with a break. Wedgwood makes the stop on that. Power play for the Devils. Killed off. So the Devils, their power play unsuccessful today. Devils were giving the Bruins fits. And in the second period, you could see that it was starting to frustrate Boston between the New Jersey defense and Wedgwood. Just playing fantastic hockey tonight. Hughes with a goal, but pretty early. That's a hand pass. It's a hand pass on the goal, and so it doesn't count. It was a hand pass. So the Devils control the final 5 minutes. It's scoreless coming out of 2, but you get the feeling that the Bruins might be a bit fortunate that it's still scoreless, and they need to get things going. So third period, the shots were 2-1 for the Bruins 5 minutes in, and it felt like there wasn't really that urgency with Boston, and you wonder, like, after that really emotional victory over Washington, is this a letdown after? Or is this just New Jersey plays really well against Boston? Power play for the Bruins. It was 0 for its last 10 over the previous 5 games coming into today. And it's 0 for tonight as well. Aggressive penalty kill by the Devils. Key saves by Wedgwood. It's killed off. The defense by the Devils were blocking out the slot. So there were no really good chances being given to the Boston Bruins. Ritchie had a chance, just wouldn't go. So Nick Ritchie had a good chance, just wouldn't go in the net. Penalty kill, that's that. Bruins had no chances. Not really. nothing of consequence. So we go to Palmieri. Palmieri gets a goal from Zaka and Subban at 15:23. I think that's only the fourth he's had this season. Palmieri's been better than 4 goals worth. So they were talking during the game about how he may be a good rental at the deadline. Agreed. Palmieri would be a very good pickup for somebody because I think he's ready to, not necessarily go on a tear, but he'll score at a better rate than he has so far this year. And the pressure led to that goal. New Jersey with a lot of pressure. Bruins tried to answer. They do pull the goaltender. They do take a timeout with 1:17 left. Doesn't matter. They get shut out by the Devils. The Devils go to 8-11-2. Boston drops to 13-6-3. Shots 12-10 Boston in the first, 10-9 Boston in the second, 18-6 Boston in the third period. Final shots 40-25 for Boston. Power plays, New Jersey 0-3, Boston 0-2. Wedgwood 40 saves for his 4th career shutout. Congratulations to him for that. And Tuukka Rask 24 saves on 25 shots. Played well. He is still stuck on 299 career wins. Now I need to change boards. Okay, so next up, Capitals and the Flyers. And if you're a Caps fan, you have to feel pretty good with what you saw tonight. Now, with the Flyers, you could say, well, they might be kind of tired. The thing is, everybody's kind of tired right now. There aren't very many teams that are getting days off. The schedule's been pretty brutal for pretty much everybody, and it's not going to get easier from here. The next month is going to tell us which teams are in and which teams are out. And I think by the time we hit the trade deadline, there's going to be a really clear divide between the teams that are in and the teams that are out. There will be a few races still left to decide, but I don't know how many there are going to be. So Samsonov versus Hart, early chances for the Flyers. Hart stops Chara at around the 5-minute mark, and then Farabee would score from Couturier at 11:04, and it was a 2-on-1 that led to that goal. So Farabee continues to be one of the better goal scorers in the Eastern Division. In fact, the shots were 10-2 in favor of the Flyers with 7.5 minutes left in that first period. The Flyers come out, they're in control, they're playing very, very well, and it looks like the Capitals are being overwhelmed. Power play for the Flyers, that's killed off. The Capitals then get a power play. Hathaway thought he was going to get a fight with Konechny. Drops the gloves. Konechny skates away from him. He didn't like it. He didn't get a fight with Konechny. I would say probably a smart move by Konechny. They're not paying him to fight. So second period, early, Ovi fires a shot high. Shots were 2-1 for the Caps, 6 minutes in, and then the offense would pick up after that. Jensen had a shot that was saved, held on to. Sanheim defends a Vrana chance. Power play then for the Flyers, which quickly became a 4-on-4. We then get a minute and 23 seconds of a Flyers power play. That's not able to get set up. So some power play madness in that second period. Nothing of real consequence. Hart stops the shot from Karlsson. Flyers had a 3-on-1 then that misfired. And then it's Ovechkin. Scores from Oshie and Chara. 15 minutes and 11 seconds into the second period. That ties it. And the momentum shifted on that. So that's goal number 714. He is 3 behind Phil Esposito, 717. And so he needs 4 to pass Phil Esposito to become 6th on the all-time goal-scoring list. And he's now 180 behind Gretzky for the overall lead. And I'm going to say that this season, I know it's a shortened season, it's got me thinking, yeah, he probably doesn't end up making Gretzky's record. It's going to get more difficult as the years go on, right? Capitals, sloppy defense. And Samsonov making some saves. So Samsonov definitely bailing them out. And then Orlov would score from Karlsson and Vrana in 1944. I want to say as well, I looked at the 3 stars fifth. Samsonov didn't get in the 3 stars, and I don't understand how. But yeah, so Orlov from Karlsson and Vrana towards the end of that second period, 1944. It's one of those back-breaking goals towards the end of a period. And then relatively early in the third, Jensen finally gets his first as a Capital. The first goal he scored in a long time. And Backstrom and Oshie with the assists at 4:15. So that's assist number 701 for Backstrom. And that made it 3-1. Capitals pressed for another. Voracek was defending very well during that play. Flyers would get a power play. Samsonov denied Couturier. And coming out of that one, they had killed 17 out of 18 power plays against them. So the Capitals' penalty kill has been very good recently. They pull the goalie with 4 minutes and 10 seconds left because Vigneault needs 2, so you pull the goalie early. Lawton had a chance. It was stopped with 1 minute and 52 seconds left. The Flyers call a timeout. It doesn't matter. They don't allow the empty netter, which is admirable when you don't have the goaltender in for a lot of those final 4 minutes. There was one point where they had to put the goalie back in. I think it was an icing. Happens. But yeah, the Capitals go to 14-6-4, and the Flyers drop to 12-7-3. So the Flyers outshoot them 14-7 in the first. The Capitals outshot them 13-8 in the second, and in the third, the Flyers outshot them again 15-7. Final shots 37-27 for Philadelphia. Power plays: Washington 0-1, Philadelphia 0-4. Samsonov 36 saves on 37 shots. Hart 24 saves on 27 shots, and the first out of 7 games Tom Wilson's going to miss. They win it. So again, this is a team that does win when players are out, and I don't expect a suspension to change that story for this team. All right, next up, Rangers. So when I was doing the power rankings last night, and I said, I want to see how the Rangers do, not necessarily against New Jersey. I want to see if they can keep this up. And I thought Pittsburgh was a good test. I did. And coming out of tonight, I'm going to say that test may not have been a success for the Rangers. It started off great, though. Zibanejad, he scores a beautiful goal. He roofs it from Buchnevich at 1 minute 18 seconds. Rangers are up 1-0 early, looking good. And they needed that fast start. The Rangers need to really build on their back-to-back wins, right? The Rangers press at 3.5 minutes. In fact, 6 minutes into the first period, the shots are 8-1 for the Rangers. Everything's looking great for New York. Rangers with a power play. It was Crosby that was in the box. Sorry, you got Crosby taking penalties. You've got a 1-0 lead. You're way ahead in shots. Things look good. Gensel with a tip shot that was denied. The Rangers would not score on that power play, of course. DeSmith caught a Kakko shot during that. Like I said, Gensel had a tip that was denied. And then Crosby draws a power play. So he takes the penalty, and then he draws a penalty after that. And right after that power play ended, Marino with his first of the year at 16-13 from Kapanen and Rodriguez, and let the floodgates open. It was bizarre. Pittsburgh tonight, streaky in the game, where if they were going to get one, they were going to get more than one. So Kapanen scores from McCann and Malkin at 16:52. So Kapanen with a goal and an assist over a period of 39 seconds. And then Crosby scores from Dumoulin at 17:14, and it was about the same shot as what Kapanen had done. And David Quinn makes the right call here. He takes out Georgiev, who was off on those last 2 goals. Yeah, you get him out of there. And more than saying that was damning of Georgiev, it also is kind of a wake-up call to your team, right, when you switch the goaltender. Keith Kincaid going into the net. And, it was kind of weird. I was like, yeah, Kincaid's in. I remember Keith Kincaid well. Second period, Smith bounced back from that early one. DeSmith had a very good game after that early goal went in. So didn't faze him in the slightest. Howden nearly had a good chance. He just couldn't quite make it work. Rangers were getting the chances. Then there's a 3-on-2 for the Penguins. Hayek made the block on that. Power play for the Penguins. There was a 5-on-3 for 4 seconds as Mika went to the box. And Kincaid, very good. Kincaid had a very good second period. DeSmith then robbed Kreider. So all 9 shots in that second period from Pittsburgh saved by Keith Kincaid, leaving it so the Rangers are still in this going into the third period. Third period, Kincaid denies Kapanen. And then there's a turnover shortly after that, and Kapanen with another chance. That one was deflected out by one of the defenders for the Rangers. DeSmith, no stick, no problem. So when a goaltender's without a stick, you kind of think, this could be a trouble. No, it wasn't a problem. Kincaid stopped Jankowski. Crosby was denied as well, and that just eventually it's going to go in. Malkin scores from Kapanen and Pettersson at 13:57. Don't say Peterson, that starts a whole other problem. So yeah, Malkin from Kapanen and Pettersson at 13:57. That makes it 4-1, and it's the third point of the night for Kapanen, the second point of the night for Malkin, and then at 16:37, Aston Reese from Bluger and Tanev. So that makes it 5-1. The shots. 11-6 Rangers in the first, 9-6 Pittsburgh in the second, 9-7 Pittsburgh in the third. Final shots, 24 shots for each team. Power plays, Rangers 0-1, didn't draw enough power plays. Pittsburgh 0 for 3. Georgiev saved 3 out of 6. Ouch. Kincaid saved 16 out of 18. Played pretty well. And then DeSmith saved 23 out of 24 for the Penguins in the victory to go to 14-9-1, where the Rangers dropped to 10-10-3. These teams will meet again on Tuesday. To call it a must-win for the Rangers, it seems early in the season to say it, but it really kind of is, because they need to get points. They didn't get any tonight. Pittsburgh gets 2, so now they're 6 points behind the Penguins. So it's just that quick. If they'd won it in regulation, they'd be 2 behind, but they didn't, so they're 6 behind. All right. Next up, Nashville. The Nashville Predators. They made it interesting late. Now, I say they did because, to me, they let Dallas almost completely off the hook in this one. And so early chances were for Dallas. That being said, the shots were only 1 apiece 5 minutes in. So a game that we're expecting there might be a bunch of goals because how the first 2 games went, we didn't really see that early here. Dellandrea was doing some shot blocking as well. Alexiak then had a fight with Olivier. Olivier had boarded Camano, and Alexiak decided to come in and defend his teammate. And so it was 5 for fighting for Alexiak and for Olivier. And no problem with that. The Stars come out of it with a power play. Olivier with 7 penalty minutes. Alexiak with 5. They didn't give him a 2-minute for instigation or anything like that. There was 1 shot during that power play. The shots were 4-2 in the game for Dallas at that stage. So that power play, not successful in that case. Preds then get a turn on the power play and they score on it. It's Granlund. Yep, from Forsberg and Tolvanen at 15:31. Ellie Tolvanen stays hot. And then a minute and 18 seconds later, Yarncroke scores from Granlund and Pitlick. That's Rem Pitlick. That is the cousin to Tyler Pitlick. And that's his first NHL point. So kudos to him for that. And then in the last minute, the Stars had their chances, but they're down 2-0 after 1. And it was tough because, honestly, Dallas had played well, minus those opportunities. Outside of that, Dallas had a pretty good period. Second period, Ottinger stopped a confident Ellie Tolvanen. That's the difference, too, with Tolvanen now versus Tolvanen before. He looks confident with the puck. He's strong on the puck, and it's making a world of difference for him. Predators had puck control at 6.5 minutes, and I thought the next goal was the key to the outcome. I was wrong. I admit I was wrong. The next goal wasn't the one that was key, but it was 2-0, and it felt like if Dallas goes behind 3-0, they're done. Heiskanen had a chance that went high. Then there's a dog pile. The Predators come out of that with a power play. It turns out when you run into the goalie that they don't like it so much. There was then a goalie interference call that took away a 3-0 goal for Nashville. So, on that same power play, they scored anyways. About 30 seconds later, it's Ellie Tolvanen blasts it from Yossi and Forsberg at 13-12. So, they have a goal taken away, they go out and get it again. I love when a team does that, even though in this case it's against a team I cheer for. But I like it when a team goes out there. They don't whine and complain that a goal got taken off the board. They just go out and get it again. All right, well, we'll just score again. Fine. Predators did knock the net off before the goal. Rene denies Pavelski. And in the last minute, the Stars take their chances. So what I'm talking about here is that I think it was Cousins knocks the net off before there would have been a goal from Dallas. Dallas was certainly going to score, but so the Preds turn around and knock the net off. And that was going to be a strategy in the third as well. So they get a penalty because that's a delay of game, but it probably did save the Stars from getting a goal. So third period, Predators had chances at 2 minutes, and then Gurionov takes a 4-minute penalty. And this is where Nashville screws up. In that there was no let's put this away to that 4-minute power play. It was a lot of passing, it felt like they were trying to kill the clock. Like, we're up 3-0. We don't need to get that fourth goal. We're fine. Always go for that fourth goal. If there's anything I would say came out of that 4-minute power play for Nashville, which was unsuccessful, I don't even know how many shots. I think it recorded 1 shot. Yeah, you should always be going for that fourth goal because you just never know. So Rene and bad bounces were shutting out the Stars. The Stars just weren't getting any bounces to this point, and Pekka Rene looked fantastic. And then things get kind of ugly. Faksa Scores from Robertson and Lindell at 12:30. And yeah, things are getting kind of ugly. Now, Yossi, I think it was Yossi that had the bloody jersey, right? And there's Hines pointing at him. And at this point, I can't wait for these teams to play each other again because there's a lot of dislike between these two teams. Stars with a power play. Pavelski scores on said power play. And then they reviewed it. And they decided, yes, the net was coming off, but the net was coming off as the puck went in. So knocking the net off fails again. First case, it might have prevented a goal, but it led to a power play. And in this case, it didn't stop that from counting, which I've always thought was the rule. I always thought the rule was if the goal was going to be scored anyways, you can say, well, yeah, the net was coming off, but the goal was going to be scored anyways. I want to say continuation. Anyways, so Pavelski gets the power play marker. Gurianov and Heiskanen with the assists at 14:46. Hines was still complaining about the no call on the Yossi thing. He was complaining about the Pavelski power play goal. I think John Hines might have needed to take it down just a little bit. Just a little bit, because they still have the lead at this point, and he is not a happy camper. 4:33 left. Gurianov takes another penalty because that's what he was good at tonight. I just, Gurianov, I remember last year saying, I don't see a star player there, and like I'm Dallas star, yes, but like a superstar forward, I don't see it. 30 goal scorer, maybe at some point, but I don't. And yeah, he hasn't scored a goal in a while, and he gets 6 penalty minutes in the third period. So they killed it off, and then they pulled the goalie after the penalty kill was done. And Robertson scores the tying goal from Heiskanen and Ben at 19:03. And then in overtime, things get weird. Daryl Ray even said he couldn't remember a 3-on-3 overtime where teams played really good defense before. And Dallas basically just pinned Nashville down. So Nashville had the puck, and Dallas just pinned him down. And it can be done. So these 3-on-3 free-flowing overtimes, teams need to watch what was being done here by Dallas and Nashville and just shut it down. There was only one shot in the overtime for the whole 5 minutes. So we go to a shootout. In the shootout, the winner is Roman Josi. So Nashville comes out with 2 points. Dallas comes out with 1. They fall to 7, 8, and 5. Nashville 11 and 14 again. I don't see a path whereby Dallas makes the playoffs. This schedule is just going to get worse. They've already lost too many games in my eyes for them to be able to turn it around and catch. Chicago would be the team they'd be looking to catch. I just don't see it happening. They need to start winning games. They need to win them in regulation, and it didn't happen in this one. Spirited comeback, yes. Good on them for that. 7.5 minutes left. It was 3-0, and then they tied it up and went to overtime. So the shots, 9-6 Dallas in the first, 12-7 Dallas in the second, 16-7 Dallas in the third, and they had the one shot of the overtime. Final shots, 38-20 in favor of the Dallas Stars. Power plays, Nashville 2 for 5, Dallas 1 for 3. So special teams that hurt Nashville the first 2 times against Dallas helped them tonight. Rene saves 35 out of 38. Ottinger saves 17 out of 20. So another kind of rough night for Ottinger. He has not won a game in overtime or a shootout yet in his career, but kid's learning. Just takes some time sometimes. All right, moving along. Last game of the night, Ottawa and Calgary. Now, you kind of expected this game to be a little bit uglier than it was, but it got there. It did get there, and I would say by the end of this game, there was definitely a lot of emotion in this. So opening chance for Zub. First shift, he gets an opening chance. The Flames get an early power play shortly after that. It gets 0 shots. But that's okay. They're going to get plenty and plenty and plenty of opportunities because Ottawa has kind of a sloppy game going tonight. Another Flames power play. The shots were only 2-1 for Calgary at 9 minutes. Remember, they had 2 power plays by this point. Connor Brown then scores from Shabbat at 13:48. That was the third shot faced by Jacob Markstrom. And I have to say, with Markstrom, it just doesn't seem the same with him in Calgary as it did last year. The year he had last year in Vancouver was great. It just doesn't seem to be working as well in Calgary. And I don't know why that is. Sometimes goaltenders just have a really good run with one certain team, but we'll see whether or not that narrative changes. And then there's a 4-on-4 goal. After the Sens get a power play, it turns into a 4-on-4. And Dzingel gets the goal from Tierney and Riley at 15:56. So Mike Riley on the board with an assist. And then the Senators get another power play at 18 minutes and 50 seconds. So that bleeds over into the second period. There's no scoring from that, but then Zach Ronaldo has a fight with Austin Watson, and you get the feeling that Ronaldo goes out there like, okay, we're down 2-0 against Ottawa. I got to start firing things up, and so we'll see if that works. It kind of does. Giordano would score at 3:41 from Tkachuk and Nestorov. So it was a 5-hole goal. Not necessarily the kind that you want to see your goaltender give up if you're an Ottawa fan, but Giordano gets it, so there you go. And then Zaitsev had a chance that was saved, but then on a face-off, Paul with an assist on a white goal at 7:09. Now, the app shows Zaitsev as a secondary assist, but all the replays, I don't see that Zaitsev necessarily touches it. So yeah, Colin White makes it 3-1. We know it's White's goal. And then the Sens pressed again at 12 minutes. So with 8 minutes left in the second period, it's 3-1. The Senators look like the better team. And the question being asked is, did Calgary use up all their energy last night against Edmonton? Or are they just tired from last night against Edmonton? Again, every team in the league right now is dealing with a certain amount of fatigue. So the Flames were seemed to be down, and then Tierney with a break. Markstrom made the save. Markstrom was very good on breakaways tonight. I will say that. There was a late Sens penalty. That was a 4-minuter at 16:16. And then shorthanded, Tierney had a breakaway, which was saved. We go to the third period. Yeah, it's still Tierney. There you go. Third period, early, Flames go back to the power play. This time they score on it. So eventually they would get a power play goal. And it's Johnny Gaudreau, who scores again, from Mangiapane and Tkachuk at 3:27. So that makes the game a little closer. And then there's another Flames power play. That one doesn't succeed. The rest of them don't, but they had a lot of them. And then it's Hanifin scoring his second goal in 2 games. So it took him a while to get a goal. Now he's got 2 in 2 games. Dubé and Lindholm with the assists at 12:17. That ties it up at 3. All of a sudden it's a 3-3 tie. And all of a sudden, Senators are on their heels, and the Flames are the ones that are on their way to what looks like it's going to be a victory. Murray struggled with a real trickler of a puck, too, shortly after that. Like, that one I was sure was going in. I thought if that one goes in, that's going to be on highlight reels everywhere, because that's not a very good goal. Markstrom then with a WTF moment behind his net, throws it, and it ends up that the Valimaki makes a beautiful save, as was said by the announcers, kind of a street hockey type save. So it stays tied. There you go. Power play number 8 for the Flames then takes place, and that's killed off. So we go to overtime. In overtime, Murray saves an early chance. Batherson had a break, but Giordano defended that. And then with 1:13 left, there was a trip and a dive by Stützle. So this is my favorite moment of the night, is that Stützle gets tripped, legit. And if he had just not tried to embellish it, I think they would have had a power play is what I think. But he embellished it. Now Matthew Tkachuk, whose brother Brady, being a Senator, is roommates with Stützle. There was kind of a viral clip that was shared of, the 2 Tkachuk brothers warming up before their last game against each other, and Stützle comes over and tries to make conversation with Matthew, and as soon as Matthew Tkachuk just takes off. So he's got kind of a annoying little brother kind of vibe, and whether that's what it really is or it isn't, it's funny. So Stützle, after the dive, Matthew Tkachuk goes into the corner, just kind of grabs him by the jersey with like, "Don't you dive," and just kind of picks him up. Not to fight with him, not to start any trouble with him, but just like he's embarrassed from like, "Get up," which tells me that someday Matthew Tkachuk will make a great dad. He has got it down, because that's what I thought of was, that's a dad right there picking up his kid. Like, what the hell? You're embarrassing me. Get up. So it was great. And that Stützle went to the box for diving was just, it was fantastic. And then we go to a shootout. Stützle scores at one end, and then Matthew Tkachuk scored at the other. And I thought, okay, now does he look at Stützle after he scores that goal? Does he say anything to him? Like, so it's fun. It's fun when that kind of stuff happens, especially when you're into the, the 12th hour of watching hockey. To have something like that go on, it is a lot of fun. So while it was a long day, there was still a lot of entertainment to be had all the way through in every game. And Matthew Tkachuk kind of made me chuckle pretty good tonight. So Batherson ends up getting the winner for Ottawa. which is key because he had breakaways that were denied, so makes sense that he gets a shootout winner. Ottawa gets the 2 points. They go to 9-17-1. They play in Edmonton tomorrow. Calgary, another point loss. They're 11-12-3 with that shootout loss. That means if you're a Canuck fan, if you're an Oiler fan, you're happy tonight because the Flames only got 1 point instead of 2. So there you go. Shots, 7-6 Ottawa in the first, 11-9 Ottawa in the second, 16-3 Calgary in the third. And then in the overtime, the shots were 3-1 for the Flames. Final shots, 34-32 for Calgary. Power plays, Ottawa 0 for 2. Calgary 1 for 8. Murray saved 31 out of 34. Markstrom saved 19 out of 22. And again, Markstrom's numbers aren't quite where they might be expected to be. And yet I'm not saying anything about, oh, should he be the starter or anything, because I think Riddick as the backup, Markstrom as the starter. That's the natural way of things in Calgary. But I think there have been times where you could argue he's kind of underperformed. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happen upon this video. And hey, I want to see like a buddy cop show of Tkachuk and Stützle. I think that would be great. Let me know your thoughts. I will talk to you again soon.